So one of the questions that come up on Pesach, it's really a question all year round, but it's a question for Pesach as well, is can one use grape juice for the 4 cups of wine? And could one use grape juice for 1 cup of wine? Is there an obligation to have wine for the Daled Kosos, which is people who classically use wine? But to go back and understand the Daled Kosos, we have to go back and ask a more fundamental question. Can you use grape juice for Kiddush all year round? We'll discuss that question, then it will lead us into grape juice for Leil Pesach. So the first issue regarding grape juice all year round is, what bracha do you make on grape juice? Because we know, at least l'chatchila, maybe b'di'ef it would be okay, because b'di'ef you make a shahako on wine, you yotze, in terms of hilchas brachas. Anyway, so what bracha do you make on grape juice? Because traditionally we know for Kiddush, we make boer pri hagafen. It's in the text, even if you don't believe me. So the Gemara in Ketzad Mevarchim, in the 6th parak of brachas, goes through it talks about brachas. So one sugya in the Gemara is, what happens if you cook a vegetable or fruit? So obviously before you cook the vegetable or fruit, either you're making a boer pri adama, but you're making a boer pri ha'etz. However, the Gemara talks about certain times when you cook it, the bracha stays the same. However, other times the bracha changes to a shahako. It all depends on, it could be a discussion, which it is, but are you raising the level, so to speak, of the fruit or vegetable, or are you lowering it? If it's considered, whatever is considered higher and lowering, that's a separate topic. But if it's considered lowering it, it's normal uses for one way, and now you're cooking it and using it for something else. So the Gemara talks about making a shahako. So in fact, Rashi's shita is, if you take the grapes, you make grape juice out of it instead of wine, whatever that process may be, you make a shahako niya bidvaro.
It's Rashi?
According to Rashi, you make a shahako. So if you make a shahako on grape juice, at best, certainly not lechatchila, one should not be using grape juice because you're supposed to be making something which warrants a boer pri hagafen. For those of you who like using grape juice, you don't have to worry, because Rov Rishonim disagree with Rashi, and the majority opinion is that even grape juice, the bracha would remain a boer pri hagafen. So we don't pass like Rashi, so far we're safe. Friday night, if you prefer using grape juice, you don't like wine, you can't drink wine, whatever the case may be, so we paskin it is a boer pri hagafen, even if anytime you're drinking it, not just for Kiddush, and therefore, in theory, one could use grape juice Friday night.
More seriously, it may be a matter of health not to drink alcohol as well.
Right, so that's a separate issue. Then you wouldn't be drinking if you can't have it with your medication, or you can't have it with your chicken soup, whatever it may be. But you mean the old penicillin chicken soup? Is that what you mean by... So that's one issue. The second issue is, what about using grape juice for Kiddush for a totally different reason? That was a hilchas brachas issue, nothing to do with Kiddush. That you have to use something which is a boer pri hagafen. According to Rashi, it's a problem, but we don't assume like Rashi. The second issue is more of a hilchas Kiddush issue. What do I mean it's a hilchas Kiddush issue? Because the Gemara tells us in Baba Basra that only wine that can be used for the mizbeach, something which is fit to be brought on the altar, only that type of wine is fit to be used. The Gemara equates wine for Kiddush for wine to be used on agabe ha-mizbeach. So we know the halacha is by the karbanos, you can't put sugar into it, you can't do fruit, you don't put honey. There's a whole list of things one does not put on the mizbeach, and grape juice seems to have this material in it. So some want to claim, in fact, this is the Rambam Shita, and the Svardim are Yisuma Machmir, that it is prohibited to use yayin. Forget about grape juice, you can't even use yayin mevushal. For Friday night Kiddush, the Rambam Shita is You certainly can't use grape juice, but you can't even use yayin mavushal. Today, most of our wine is yayin mavushal, and there's pros and cons of yayin mavushal. In terms of the pure, those people who drink wine and know about quality wines, apparently the yayin she'ena mavushal, those are the top type of wines, and the price would indicate that to be true, that those wines are much more expensive. I'm happy with Bar Tanura Moscati. I don't need the yayin she'ena mavushal, by the way. But for those Svardim out there who go with the Rambam, you cannot use yayin mavushal. And the pro of it is, in fact, I remember when I was in YU years ago, and they had one of the presidents, or some important delegation was coming to New York, and I guess it was something Jewish. So they were asking YU guys if they could come over. They needed waiters, Jewish waiters, to pour the wine, because it was a case where they wanted. It's an expensive. When you're charging $500 a head, you can't serve yayin mavushal, whatever the case may be. And therefore, that's the problem. If you use yayin she'ena, you have to be very careful you don't have non-Jews around pouring it, because that's a problem. But generally speaking, most of our wines are yayin mavushal, so it's not a problem. And so too grape juice. You put in the sugar, whatever goes into grape juice, that is the problem. So according to the Rambam, you can't use yayin mavushal or grape juice all year round for Kiddush. However, many Rishonim disagree with the Rambam. We assume that's not what the Gemara means. It's not. Rambam takes it literally. We assume that no, it doesn't mean that you can't use yayin mavushal. What it means is wine that already spoiled, something that's spoiled, that's no good anymore. That's the type of wine you can't use on the mizbeach. And that doesn't mean literally that the exact qualifications of wine on the mizbeach is wine for Kiddush. No, it means wine that's spoiled you shouldn't use on the mizbeach. But it's not teaching me any halach and hilchas Kiddush that you can't use yayin mavushal or grape juice. Jeff?
Could according to these mafarshim who say that only means spoiled, would they say you can use grape juice on the mizbeach?
I think everyone agrees no grape juice on the mizbeach.
Everyone agrees.
Yeah, the question is, everyone's in agreement whether you can use on the mizbeach. The issue is how seriously do you take the Gemara's connection, Kiddush, to the Rambam takes it very seriously. He says it's the same halacha.
Okay.
We assume it's not so serious. It just means something different.
Okay.
So according to the Rambam, no yayin mavushal or grape juice, but unless you're maybe some Sfardim follow the Rambam, but the consensus view is that so far we're okay. In Hilchas Brachas we're okay with the Borei Pri Hagafen, and we're okay so far with Hilchas Kiddush. There's another potential issue some suggest is, in order to be considered wine, or at least wine for Kiddush, it has to be intoxicating. It has to have, a certain level of, alcoholic content. And therefore they say grape juice doesn't have any. You could drink, it's hard to get drunk from drinking grape juice, not that I've tried it, but apparently you can't get drunk from you might get sick, but you're not going to get drunk from drinking a case of grape juice, Jeff.
Where do you learn this from? Where does one learn this from? That you need something.
No, the Post can bring. They quote some Gemaras that seem to say that in order to, the definition of wine is the definition of Borei Pri Hagafen.
Maybe it makes you happy. Maybe that's
I'm saying that could be part of the svara, but we'll see if it's first. I'm to see if it's true before I'm going to get to what the svara is.
Right.
So therefore, those say it has to be an intoxicating beverage. And since it's not, one cannot use grape juice for Kiddush.
Yes.
Others, and what's the proof? So others say, no, it doesn't have to be intoxicating. Jeff's kasha, how do I know it has to be? Because they say no. How do I know it doesn't have to be intoxicating? Because the Gemara itself says that let's say you don't have any wine, so a couple of hours before Shabbos you take out some grapes and you squeeze the grapes and you make wine. So clearly, it's like grape juice then. It didn't ferment or anything like that. So therefore they say it's not true. The issue whether you need something that intoxicates. What is the person who says you need something intoxicating do with the Gemara? Everyone agrees the Gemara says that you could take out grapes especially if you're in Niagara region, you could do it. And you could take out grapes and make grape juice. So they say, no, that's not a kasha because it's still true. It has to be something intoxicating. But as we have many times in the Gemara, in Halacha, something that has the potential
Okay, yes.
to become intoxicating. If you left these grapes around, it would become intoxicating. The fact you're eating it before, drinking it before it does, that's a separate issue. But grape juice, once now it's gone through this process, will never become intoxicating, and therefore it's a no-go.
You know what's ironic is that the one food that you're not allowed to eat during Pesach is leavened bread. In other words, wheat which has been in contact with yeast, and yet the wine that you're talking about has been in contact with yeast and is not considered acceptable unless it's grape juice which has been in contact with yeast is not acceptable unless it has been in contact with yeast. So it's exactly the opposite rule.
You think it's a little ironic?
Ironic, yes.
Is that true? Why didn't you become...
Only becomes
fermented?
alcoholic in contact with yeast, yes.
Oh.
So it's the exact opposite.
Right, assuming yeast itself is, depending, right.
Yeast
Yeah.
is sort of neutral. It doesn't contain it.
Right, I'm saying like
What the
even...
yeast interacts with it.
Right, we'll see different things, right, in terms of what's considered chametz, what isn't, we'll get into that. But that's the third potential problem, is that it's not intoxicating. However, we assume, not like those opinions, we assume that it doesn't have to be intoxicating to do so. Therefore, so far we've eliminated three potential problems. One is the Hilchos Brachos issue. According to Rashi, it's problematic. You can't use grape juice because it's a shahako. Secondly, the issue of according to the Rambam, you need yayin she'eino mavushal, because whatever's fit for the mizbeach is fit for Kiddush Friday night. We don't take that connection that serious. We assume as long as it's not spoiled, you're ahead of the game. And the third issue is something which intoxicates. So far we survived the one can use grape juice on a normal Friday night. However, there's another issue we have to tackle. Is the Leil Seder any different? What about the night of Pesach with grape juice? So in terms of Hilchos Kiddush, we have no problem. So we work them out anyway according to what we pass, and some might have a problem and some don't. But the consensus view, it's okay. So what about Leil Seder? So Rav Moshe Feinstein says there's another issue. Even though he agrees you could use yayin she'eino mavushal on Kiddush all year round, Friday night, and grape juice, he says, at least for grape juice anyway, he says one should not use grape juice Leil Seder. Why not? Because there's another requirement on the night of Pesach that we don't have all year round, and that's derech cheres. We have to show we're like kings. We recline the night of Pesach. We're like malachim, and therefore Rav Moshe writes that one of the definitions, by definition, cheres means having a drink that intoxicates, something which drink, because that's the derech hamalachim to drink. Kings don't drink grape juice; they drink the real thing. And therefore, al hilchos kiddush, you're fine. But since it's a special requirement of derech cheres, you have to do something like a king. Freedom is defined together with wine, with something intoxicating, and hence Rav Moshe, at least l'chatchila, he says, it's better to use wine over grape juice. On the other side of the coin was Rav Selevan, who felt differently than Rav Moshe. He felt in a case, why are we talking about someone who's drinking grape juice in the first place? We're talking about someone who doesn't like wine as much and prefers grape juice. Obviously, if you prefer wine, you'll be drinking wine. So the case is you prefer grape juice, but you want to know, al pi halacha, is it okay? So Rav Moshe would say, I'm not saying it's not okay, but it's better to drink wine because wine chose freedom. And Rav Soloveitchik says, no, it's true that it's a night of cheres. But one of the qualifications the Rambam gives when he talks about drinking the wine on Pesach is it should be a shtiya areva. It should be a drink that someone likes. It's something that is a good taste for you. Part of freedom isn't being forced to drinking something you dislike. That part of freedom is, I'll pick the thing I like to drink. Obviously, assuming it has to be a boer priagafa, and you can't drink milk if you want. But within the realm of possibility, he quotes the Rambam that it's better if it's preferable because of cheres to drink the drink that you prefer. So it seems to be a fundamental machlokas Rav Moshe and Rav Soloveitchik on how you define cheres. I'll tell you what freedom is. Don't tell me what freedom. In fact, I might be going on today. There seems to be a discussion what cheres is in the Middle East as well. Yeah. And the Rav says, no, it's more, of course I agree to both. The question is, the emphasis more, I could pick what I want, or no, freedom is a certain objective criteria. Jeff or Avi, someone had a kasha.
Definition.
And just as far as on a higher level, which would be on a higher level? Would it be areva as far as like the drinking of it?
Oh, you mean
like as far as intoxication versus the drink that you
Right,
prefer.
enjoying the right.
Enjoying
So, yeah, so that's how they seem to, that you enjoy the taste more. That's the reva. To summarize, we had 4 potential issues. What 3 regarding all year round? Could you use grape juice for kiddush? We had the problem of Rashi of Shahakol. We had the issue of the Gemara in Baba Basra that it's not fit to be brought in the Mizbeach. You need yayin she'eino mavushal. You need grape juice. We had the issue of intoxication. That's all year round. We solved those problems. And then on Leil Pesach, we had an additional issue of whether grape juice is considered derech eretz or not. Ramosha thought not. Rav Salvation said it was okay.
Thank you. Wow.
Very much.